are one of the favorites. And I actually just shared a message with Innovier right before, and I was joking with him about some hero picks. He's like, "No, I can't." He's like, "Gotta work." He's like, "Gotta try hard this time." And he recognizes the threat that Meowpork brings, and that's the thing is that he recognizes they're a good team. He recognizes they have the potential for an upset. Obviously, it's a double elimination bracket, so no matter who loses here, you'll still have a chance to make your way up. But if you do win in our bracket setup, the way that we've had it, and right now we're 2 for 2. We're going into our third qualifier essentially this year, and both times I've been here, we go to the finals. The winner bracket winner goes on to lose, but because they get there, they get the rubber match, and they come back and they win the rubber match. So it's really weird the way LCA has worked out. So obviously you want to have that advantage. You don't want to be playing from behind. So I think it's definitely something that there's a lot on the line here to make sure that you win this series.
I kind of wonder if we're going to be having a third rubber match in a row. Like, you casted last February, April, and now we're here, July. I wonder if it's going to happen again. But we'll see. First map they're going to be facing off is at Dragonshire.
Yeah, Dragonshire is something that if you got to watch any bit of the midseason brawl, you'll know that Deadlykittens play that extremely well. And they ended up going out. They had one minor mistake towards the end that they had, I believe it was against SPT. But they made it known that they knew how to play the battleground. They knew how to strategize. They knew how to rotate. They knew how to play the macro game. And there was a lot of things that they did really well. And that's the fact that they picked this battleground, to me, is not surprising at all. The fact that it's not banned against them, we'll see if that comes back to bite Meowpork. But I really like the fact that Deadlykittens knows that what their strengths are, and they're willing to play to them, coming out firing in game number one. What we saw at midseason brawl and what they feel is potentially their best battleground, I believe we're ready for the draft.
Yes, sir. We're going to be heading into the draft. Deadlykittens versus Meowpork. I mean, Meowpork has faced Deadlykittens time and time again. This is just really one of the favorite matchups. Like, aside from Deadlykittens versus Resurgence, we also have DK versus Meowpork. And you know what? Let's take off Stitches out of the board.
They take Stitches off, but I'm afraid they might be giving up potential to Haka. And it's something that Deadlykittens plays very well. If Meowpork doesn't pick Dahaka here, expect Deadlykittens to go that route. We haven't seen a lot of Genji lately. Genji on this battleground in particular, we talk about the rotation, is that he can help contribute to the middle lane, and then he can help easily rotate to that top lane to help out what is traditionally the 1v1 setup, turning it into a 2v1 and trying to wrestle that battleground control. So long as your 3-4 man that's going to be rotating towards the bottom can hold, Genji is a phenomenal pickup for this battleground.
We'll see, though, because their bannings are quite quick in comparison to the previous matches that we witnessed. But now it's more like they're going to be taking their time on which is their first pick. Again, this is very crucial, as this is the advantage that you were talking about earlier. Are they going to lock in either, there's the Uther, there's the Greymane, also available on the table if they're going to be prioritizing that for this. But Dehaka as well, you mentioned that, is open for more control.
And there was another thing that when we talk about this battleground, you generally have your 1 at the top, and then you have the potential 1-1-3. You have the 1-4 split. And again, Genji, I think, plays really well to that. That's what we were talking about. Genji first pick. I would love to see an Uther Dahaka here, because you don't want to necessarily give up Uther to the Genji. He's a really strong support, obviously, in itself. And then you get that top lane control. You get that global control of Dahaka. And late game Dahaka, generally Dragonshire is one of those maps that just goes late. It's just the way it works. It's really hard to finish early. They go Uther Greymane instead.
Wow. So Dahaka's still pretty much available on the table. We'll see if Meowpork's going to take that in. I mean, Uther Greymane, they're definitely prioritizing NSJ's pick here on the Greymane. I mean, you guys have described NSJ's Greymane. He performed phenomenally on the Greymane, so I guess that's where their strength lies in this pick.
Now Meowpork has to make a decision. This is a map, and it was one of the things I was talking about with your splits. It's either going to be a 1-1-3 split with Genji flexing or 1-4 split with Genji flexing up to that top lane. But the way that Meowpork's been running, they've been playing double support, double support, double support. And that's not a play style that you can really execute well if the enemy team opts to go something with like a heavy wave clear composition. Going double support means that you give up a little bit when it comes to that wave clear. So if Deadlykittens opts to run something like they have the Greymane, maybe they go into like some mage damage as well, and they just run a 1-4 split themselves. They give up the top lane. They play the top lane safe, but they dominate the bottom 2 lanes. And that's something that you can do with that composition, as we see the Upperbrackets Rhaegar picked up from Meowpork.
All right, interesting. So Upperbrackets, definitely really high contested pick during these past matches. Really effective during team fights, especially with the Cocoon as well. Plus, Impale is a great way to start things off if you want to catch people off guard. Uther Greymane, what is going to complete our bans for Deadlykittens here, as they're going to be taking their time.
If you're afraid of Meowpork running double support, you're banning Brightwing all day. I talked about flexing Genji to that top lane. If you have a solo laner up there that doesn't have the type of self-sustain, like a Leoric or a Dahaka or something like that, they are banning out a solo laner with Malthael. But if they do end up picking Brightwing on the backside of this draft for Meowpork, they can flex Genji up. And what I talked about turning a 2v1, you could easily use that phase shift to turn a 1v1 into a 3v1 in an instant. So it's something that does work on Dragonshire. You just got to make sure and be wary of it. But again, if you just control the bottom 2 lanes, you can play a little bit safer in the top lane and not necessarily prioritize the DK too early and force your opponents to play your game.
Exactly. I mean, Deadlykittens has still room. They've got 3 slots left, especially that Meowpork is going to be selecting their second ban here. I mean, they're still lacking. Deadlykittens still probably going to choose a support. No, surely going to choose their support. It's just that that is the question. Meowpork taking their time.
You already know that you've got to deal with something in a solo laner, and you've got to wonder what can you counter the hardest. That's where the Genji is going to come in. So if you're afraid of the Dahaka, who has that self-sustain with his essence, then by all means, get out of there. But they're going to ban Illidan, who that's a little bit surprising to me on Dragonshire in particular.
Yeah, I guess it's not a popular pick, but it looks like they're going to be falling into the Li Ming material. I really miss NSJ's Li Ming, if I assume that he's going to be the one who's going to be using the Li Ming here in this game.
Well, the whole thing about Li Ming is it's something we've seen heavily prioritized with Upperbrackets. You put that cocoon down, it's based on, the amount of attacks, not necessarily how heavy they are, and Disintegrate does really well to pop that. So if an Upperbracket goes in and he decides he's going to, and this is one of the biggest counters towards Uther, is the cocoon from an Upperbracket. So if Uther doesn't have his heals available, you dive in, you hit that cocoon onto Uther. He doesn't have a Divine Shield available. He doesn't have the heals available. Tyrael obviously helps back that up with Sanctification and the shields he provides. But use Li Ming, pop that, turn the team fight. So I like the pickup of Li Ming there. It fits really well into the composition. Fits really well into the team fight. Deadlykittens draft right now is solid.
It seems like they're not really phased on the Anubarak pickup, the Genji pickup. It's like they're going to be forming their own composition. They're not phased at all. And it's just a matter of what support they're going to throw in for the last pick. I mean, I don't think they're worried about the support at the moment, the solo healer. But meanwhile, Meowpork definitely going to take their time, Falstad, and Thrall on the table instead.
If Deadlykittens has a Zeratul player, this would be the absolute perfect moment for it.
They do have a Zeratul player as far as I know.
I know that because they've had some changes to who's playing what. And that's kind of the biggest thing is who is their Zeratul player now and does it fit into the strategy? This is one where if Falstad's a solo laner or basically Falstad fits into that global, it should be Thrall as the solo laner with him flying up to try and get picks. You still need a solo laner at this point if you're Deadlykittens, but if you're willing to sacrifice the strength of the solo lane and leave Greymane up there and then kind of flex the Zeratul to play the similar role that Genji does, I think it could work out well, but I think this has got to be a Dahaka, Leoric, Sonya of some sort to deal with the solo lane.
I mean, you're right. I could totally see a Zeratul here, because I've seen time and time again where it's the Falstad who's all alone, but you know what? Dahaka will be their choice instead as their solo laner. Well played by Deadlykittens, who was well drafted.
Deadlykittens has a dream draft for the way that they play and for the Battleground. You have Greymane, who does well with his auto attacks, can deal well with Anubarak, can help dive that back line. Genji is not really a huge threat towards Li Ming and Greymane. Greymane can just hop into Worgen form, has his armor there. Li Ming will likely be going into Force Armor at level 1, which just, you hit your magic missiles, you get that, basically it's the stacks of spell armor up to 4. So there's not a whole lot that we're going to see, and then Uther, he can always lay down the stun if Genji decides to come in the back. So you have a lot of really good protection between the Divine Shield, the Sanctification, things like that. I really doubt we'll see the Judgment, but what they have in terms of how it complements their team fighting, how it gives Dahaka that top lane control, and then they're able to have that strong 4-man, just all around great wave clear, great lane control, great solo lane, great 4-man potential, and they actually have a lot of really good early game potential to maybe dive in, steal a few camps, things like that. Is that they have Greymane who can split off, grab siege camps, things like that, while the rest of the team is going elsewhere. But we're ready for the game to get started right now as we have Deadlykittens versus Meowpork.
Yes, sir. On the blue side, we got Deadlykittens, Zace there on the Greymane, Enavir on the Dahaka, NSJ like twirling around with the Li Ming, Stronger here on the Tyrael, and we got Myrrh here on the the Uther.
I'm enthralled by that Raptor mount, but here on the right side, we're going to have Exkaric on Falstad, Risotto on Anubarak. Man, they are all grouped up. Yeah, Setia on Thrall, Meowpork on Rhaegar, and Zessin will be playing that Genji.
All right. So just as you mentioned, how they have a lot of options in terms of strategies here for Deadlykittens. Meanwhile, from Meowpork, same as well. Zessin going to Swift Strike, gets the stun, but looks like there's going to be something here in the mid side of the map. Stronger, half HP, is going to be A-okay, going to walk safely back to his teammates as they're just going to be exchanging. But in terms of HP, Stronger is in a bit of he's chunked down a little bit, but Zessin's
got to be careful.
Yeah, good thing he's got that cyber agility.
He's playing with fire though. Myrrh's coming over. He's like, I got a hammer. You know, we're trying to drop the bombs on somebody. And NSJ and Myrrh is going to be basically the combo that we're going to have to look for. Tyrael doesn't have that hard CC. Uther does. And it's going to be up to him to make those calls to see if Li Ming can land that combo following up off that. And you can see right now they're content with this 4-1 split. There's no real threat. They clear that wave. And this is exactly what I wanted to see out of Deadlykittens. The one thing that's surprising to me is Falstad is the solo laner and not Thrall.
Exactly. Looks like they just want to play it safe, play it standard for themselves as Deflect here. Exkaric will just barrel away, but that's 2 members. Zace will just interfere with the escape onto Exkaric. He's super low at the moment. Are they going to be greedy? Guess not. He's just going to sip onto the well, and he's going to be A-okay.
The thing about, so I said I'm surprised by that. Falstad actually does really well against Dahaka because Dahaka struggles against ranged heroes. I'm just surprised that with the way that they're using Thrall and Genji, they have solo lane potential between multiple ones here as Myrrh's going to get caught out. He's going the wrong way there.
Exactly. There's the root. Everything else just follows through. Meowpork gets a kill for themselves, but that's going to be an exchange as they secure the kill onto the Anubarak. Zessin, very low, Swift Strike to safety. Woo!
He barely gets by there. Li Ming will be able to disrupt any type of channel as Enavir is going to channel the bottom shrine to keep it even. But both teams at level 4, but the fact that Dahaka came down, they've got to make sure and get to that top. Try not to lose too much of that XP in the top lane.
Yes, to read. Deadlykittens, at least they got the consolation prize onto the Anubarak, but we'll see how they're going to plan this out. As we've seen here in Southeast Asia that, their DK rotations is going to be, we've seen a really, really long exchanges of without, the DK being taken. So Meowpork having control for both shrines as Exkaric is pretty low, as Zace as well. She's going to be fine.
I like the fact that they're going there, but they continue to give up this 3-man in the middle as Myrrh taking quite a bit of damage up there. So they continue to get the pressure that they're hoping for in that mid and bottom lane to continue to put the pressure on, to eat up a lot of that ammo, to get structure damage on. But the minute they get that advantage, they give it away by trying to get that pick onto Falstad. I'm a little bit surprised. Because they haven't confirmed the kill, it looks a little bit worse. But you have such a strong 4-man, I feel like they could just rotate between these lanes and play to that strength and not necessarily worry about getting those early kills.
Yes, look at that. They're charging into Meowpork, decides to back away as Meowpork easily rotates to respond to the aggression. And Deadlykittens still finding the correct opportunity, but both shrines are being controlled by Deadlykittens. Meanwhile, Falstad will fall back, and 3 people from Meowpork already on the mid side just to prevent any channeling whatsoever.
Pretty even so far. As we see NSJ, he's just going to go ahead and teleport away and not worry about taking too much damage there. But again, here's the rotation that we're going to see. They're going to fall back for that camp, and this is what I was talking about. They have the camp potential to just go in, quick clear, and then regain control without skipping a beat in the rest of the lanes. But again, their 4-man is so dominant. Just push this in and force Meowpork to defend, and then go to another lane and do the exact same thing. It's one way to get early structures down to soften things up for the DK potential that you're trying to get from that kill.
Exactly. They've got a lot of poke potential as well. They've got a lot of safety, mobility in case things just get a little bit too sticky if ever Meowpork tries to dive in. But look at that. Control of Deadlykittens. They're pushing them back as Zessin Swift strikes towards Stronger as the Impale lands onto the Uther. Is going to be A-okay. But will you look at that? Nothing's going to start yet. They're just going to be landing pokes here and there. But top lane, Falstad dies.
He went down in the 1v1. He was trying to contest that because Li Ming, we can see on the minimap, was trying to get that, but Thrall is contesting that. But this is what I'm talking about. Imagine if you just take your 4-man, you can get more value out of your 4-man than you can with this DK. Now, this DK is actually going to be empowered now because Falstad got killed. They ended up getting that, and that was more of a mistake on Falstad so much as a good play by Deadlykittens, which it wasn't a bad play, but they have such a dominant 4-man that you could have had that damage. As we see, there's going to be a kill there on a Upperbracket. You might have had that, although Xscarik coming in that back line. Things are turning around here, Riku.
Look at that. Stronger actually going for the retreat instead as 2 members fall from the side of Deadlykittens. And will you look at that? It just turned completely 180 there, suddenly, out of nowhere. NSJ will continue with the aggression. Gonna capitalize on being on the DK as Meowpork is getting blasted here by the DK. NSJ just continuing with the pressure.
And that's the thing. This DK is now negated. They got the bottom fort wall exactly as I was talking about, and then they couldn't do much more with the DK because they were so split. They do have 10-tier advantage, which is obviously going to work in their favor, and isolation being picked up for Dahaka. Not worried about going down, just going to rely solely on his essence.
Exactly. I mean, that's going to be an aggressive play coming from Deadlykittens. They seem to be, I mean, we've seen a similar situation where they picked off Judgment instead of the, oh, who's that Deadlykittens? I feel like that was a Deadlykittens match instead of the Sanctification. So I feel like, you know, being more aggressive, especially during the early phases of the game, is something that they could take advantage of against Meowpork. But you know what? That was just the first DK. We'll see how this is going to pan out.
Divine Storm, the pickup for Uther. And so we're going to see Thrall Genji trying to dive that back line as we have a quick pause here. But the Divine Storm, they have the Sanctification. They're going to rely on that for protection. I like that. Divine Storm, they're going to have to hope. The whole thing about Thrall is the minute he comes in, if he gets that Earthquake, I don't think we've got level 10 yet.
Yeah.
But if he gets that Earthquake down, obviously you're going to try and find a retreat point. But he also heals up, getting that Frost Wolf Resilience, getting that in there. So you got to try and make sure that you get the lockdown. You have to be coordinated with that. If you're going Divine Storm, that's your form of that real hard CC. You're going to try and get the double up with the hammer. Then you're going to try and make sure that NSJ follows up with the Li Ming. We saw Cursed Bullet picked up for Greymane. So if you're going to run this style composition, you're feeling comfortable trying to defend with the offensive style heroics, you've got to make sure that your communication is on point and you follow up. Because if you don't get that kill in that early part, look for Rhaegar to come in, get that extra support, things like that. And then all of a sudden, like, things can really turn against you. So you got to make sure that if you're running that style, you got to be coordinated, and Deadlykittens is the team to pull it off. But one slip up on this can mean a big difference between a DK versus basically giving up. Yeah. So.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like the composition of Meowpork is really going to show its potential, especially they're the best at punishing mistakes coming from Deadlykittens if they do make mistakes, which, you know, it's very apparent, especially whenever Deadlykittens make these aggressive plays. Meowpork can take advantage of those kinds of movements. So again, it's still very early to tell. They're pretty even. I mean, level 10 already on to DK. We'll see. I mean, we've seen Meowpork have been very patient with their moves. If they know that they're behind, they don't really they don't become rash in terms of their decision making. So I feel like this is going to be a really close match from based from what I've seen so far.
Again, it's going to come down. The interesting part is we see an early advantage for Meowpork. If this goes on, you're matched globally. So it really does come down to a lot of team fights. So Falstad and Haka, they almost cancel each other out in a certain sense, but we've seen Deadlykittens approach it in a very different way. So it will come down to the team fighting at some point. And so far, Deadlykittens has actually looked much better outside of the one slip up when they split a little bit too much. And I don't think that was necessarily a team fight thing. I think that was just more like, all right, we got Dahaka on the top lane, a DK in the middle. We're going to send 3 people down here. The minute that 4-man, 5-man collapses on that at the bottom, the DK can no longer do anything. Dahaka is going to get marginal value. I mean, it's obviously good value, but the DK, you get 1 pick in a situation like that. You get 2 picks the way they did. It negates the entire Dragon Knight at that point. And so it's marginal mistakes like that that can have more of an impact, more so than the team fighting. I know that we're probably looking at more kills on the side of Meowpork, but things like that always interest me, the way that teams approach that. And then when it gets countered, they're like,
Oops.
oops.
Yeah, what do you think though? I mean, you mentioned how Dahaka picked isolation instead of adaptation. Do you think that's gonna bite them in the butt later on, or?
Well, the way that works is that if he does opt to dive, you get that Dragon Blade in, and then if he has the way out, normally you try and cyber agility in and E out. The E's on a long enough cooldown. So if that happens, you get the Divine Storm down, you get the isolation on, you can no longer get out. So your escape options are no longer there, your deflect is no longer there, which you might have probably already used it by then. So Divine Storm into isolation, stuff like that. Again, it's a coordinated attack, and it's a very good attack. I mean,
Yes.
it's a skill shot, but it's a really easy skill shot to land when that target is standing still. So it's kind of the approach there. If you kill the Genji, you still have a whole lot more to worry about. Again, the Thrall being in there, the Boomerang coming in from Falstad. Actually, I think you might have went Secret. I have to double check the talents when we go in. I think it should be Boomerang, but either way, you have all that. And if things do go awry, you always have that Falstad Mighty Gust to rely on. So if things do look a little bit rough, you just disengage and you can still only lose one person and be okay on Dragonshire so long as you have the global. So it's kind of an interesting approach, I think, that we see both teams kind of adapting to. And speaking of adapting, there's no adaptation. It is the isolation. So it's a battle of chess at this point. I think that's the part that I like the most, is you can definitely see the mindset, the strategies that they want to force upon their opponents, and their opponents have good strategies. It's a matter of execution at that point.
That is true. I mean, they do have some sort of protection. The first line of protection, which is the sanctification coming from the Tyria or from the side of Deadlykittens. But aside from that, are there any other options that they could take? Because they're the type. The thing that they drafted here is that, just as you said, they go all in. But if they don't succeed, then they're going to be in trouble. Meowpork can easily take advantage of that.
They can. I mean, to a certain extent. You talk about Genji, Anub, Falstad, Thrall. When you have the Thrall, actually, I really doubt we'll see Sundering. It just doesn't feel natural for this. You have a lot of heroes between Greymane, Uther, a lot of survivability, Tyrael, of course, being in there. But at the same time, you could just throw down Sanctification in the middle of an earthquake. So, again, it's a matter of, can you force a heroic out of an opponent? Sometimes, like, if you're ever listening to comms, that's one of the things that, when we're at midseason brawl, we're sitting there, we're in studio, things like that. We hear things that don't oftentimes go on that you don't get to hear at home. And it's just like, you hear call-outs, right? You hear call-outs of Sanctification's down, and now all of a sudden that instills in your teammates' minds that we're about to go in, or we have an opportunity. And if you can force things like that out, just one heroic, if you can force something like that out, it kind of instills like this new type of approach to the next team fight, knowing that you have the confidence to use this ability or that ability without the fear of this. And sometimes forcing out heroics is a thing, and that's what Meowpork is going to have to do, is try and force out. Can you force out just the Sanctification? Can you force out just the Divine Storm? Because the minute that goes in, your protection on that backside. Tyrael does not have hard CC. Tahaka is the only one that has that tongue there. Obviously you'll have actually, that's pretty much it. So
yes,
at that point, so if you can kind of force out things like that, it's all, but it goes the exact same way. You have the ancestral healing. You have things like that. If you can force that out. But again, Falstad's kind of that ultimate X factor of, he's got Mighty Gust. If things don't go right, you just gust teams away, or you use it as an engagement. So it kind of throws things up in the air. And that's why I think that both these teams, being at the top tier of this region, both these teams with exceptional drafts. The Falstad is a little bit questionable, but it is Dragonshire, but I'm okay with that. But you see this battle of teams and ultimate counters. I mean, you could go on at length on how both teams could approach this.
Yeah, exactly. Because Meowpork's composition, like, I see a lot of mobility on their side. Plus, Rhaegar's totem on the slow will easily make them, after they bait out an heroic, then that's the time they could reposition themselves and then fight another day or find a better opening for themselves. So it's just as were talking about earlier, it's all about execution on how they're going to work with their compositions. And these two teams have faced each other for such a long time now. And it's so beautiful to watch them face it off every time these qualifiers come in for Southeast Asia. So Meowpork, Deadlykittens, I mean, this is just the first day. One more at the second day, where one of the best teams are just left on the bracket.
When you can get the best versus the best throwing down. That's why I like the fact that the final part of the day today, we get the winners bracket finals, and then we go into tomorrow as everybody tries to fight their way back. So it is something. It's weird because I look down at the drafts. I see Falstad, Thrall, Rhaegar, Noob. It's like an old throwback draft, and I see Genji, and I'm like, all right, a little bit of a new flavor going on there. But nevertheless, these heroes obviously have seen quite a bit of overhauls over especially the last 6 to 12 months in particular. But again, I think right now Deadlykittens still is the favorite when we talk about this, but Meowpork holding with him. I think most teams are struggling to deal with Meowpork, or excuse me, Deadlykittens are struggling to deal with Meowpork the easiest, I should say, because every other team hasn't really punished Deadlykittens for their mistakes, but Meowpork has been punishing them every step of the way.
Yeah, I was actually, Deadlykittens and Meowpork is a really good matchup. But at the back of my head, I was also interested in watching Deadlykittens versus Playstomp because some of the members are actually ex-teammates of some of the members of Deadlykittens. So I was really looking forward to that matchup as well. Either way, because I think Playstomp went against Deadlykittens earlier today, correct? And then they had the first game, which they almost punished Deadlykittens, except that they were just too greedy. So that was...
It was Playstomp, Meowpork.
Playstomp.
Did I miss the second one?
I think they played earlier today as well. I think they did,
we're
right?
cheating looking at our
Playstomp.
bracket.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, I was looking forward to that. But meanwhile, Deadlykittens just really strong, looking really strong, but you can see how they're also having a hard time. It's not one of those matches where you see that they're very confident in their plays. They're like, you can tell that there's a bit of hesitation before they go in.
Rightfully so. Rightfully so. And we are still trying to figure out, we have a disconnect issue that we're trying to resolve currently. Probably same rules apply to the series that we had before. Obviously, there is a time limit, so we're waiting on some updates there before we head back in there. I know last time we were in a bit of a break. We're going to keep you guys here, I guess, for a little bit. We're going to see if we can get back in sooner rather than later.
Yes. So anyway, going back to the composition of Deadlykittens, you said that Uther did not pick Divine Shield. Would you rather have that or...
If you land the Divine Storm into the isolation, into a Li-Ming blow-up,
insta-kill.
Divine Storm all day long. If you don't land it, then you're in trouble. Again, it comes down to the fact that Uther is what you rely on. We talked about if Uther gets cocooned and a Nubrak goes in, if that's your follow-up there, if you don't lose Genji immediately, a Nubrak dives in, because Uther's got to be in melee range. He's normally in melee range to begin with, but he's kind of in a different position, the way that he positions himself. So if he goes in, uses the Divine Storm onto the Genji, and they don't get that blow-up, and a Nubrak comes in, and all of a sudden he's like, well, you're going in there. Again, it's up to Li-Ming to make sure that she's in position, because if you think about it the way that it is that if you use Divine Storm into the isolation, into the follow-up, you get... I hear noises.
Me too. They're taking a camp. All right. Looks like we're back in the game. Deadlykittens versus Meowpork. And yeah, they've secured a camp. They're level 10. Meowpork's level 10 already.
Okay, the heroics were picked up. So we are seeing the Earthquake.
Yes.
Okay.
Anubarak still not picking his last, his heroic level 10 talent yet.
Well, again, Locust Swarm just saw some changes. So it just got buffed. Obviously, with his health pool being nerfed, you got to kind of compensate for that in one way. You got to give a little to get a little in this game. And again, we saw the slight nerf onto the Cocoon in terms of range and the speed, but Locust Swarm saw a buff as well. So do you feel that's needed? We're going to find out as he's waiting. I imagine normally when you see him hold like this long, it's not a matter of are we deciding. It's like you're trying to trick the enemy team. They're constantly hitting tab, trying to see what talent you're picking. So they're just trying to snap lock it in. So the minute you go to choose engage, you control click the talent, then you just go in, hard engage, throw your opponent off guard. They're just giving Deadlykittens something to think about.
Yeah, this is pretty exciting. Well played by Meowpork, the mental games that they've been playing. But as you can see, they're saying Pale onto Stronger. A lot of pokes coming from Deadlykittens.
Or not, just go Locust Swarm. I guess you were spending all that time deciding. So he needed that survivability. It's going to do a little bit of damage, but he needs that survivability. He's going to go ahead and burrow out of there, the cleanse onto a Nubrak. They'll run away, but they're going to lose this fort in the process.
Yeah, they got to respect the poke coming from the side of Deadlykittens as Meowpork will try to rotate because the shrines are online, as Genji will be waiting or securing. Yeah, we'll be waiting for the rotation, try to deny. Oh, looks like Falstad already has control of the top side. But yeah, it's interesting. Locust Swarm for a new Barak, not Cocoon this time around. Zessen will Swift Strike plus Deflect, but there's a stun. Nicely done. Disintegrate, Ancestral Healing onto Zessen. Risotto in the middle of it all. Mighty Gusses to push them away, but Zace might be in a little bit too trouble. NSJ is isolated by the Falstad.
Oh!
Nicely done. Earthquake right there, stronger in the middle of it all. That's 3 members down, 1 only for Meowpork. And there you have it. That is an amazing team fight coming from the side of Meowpork because Deadlykittens is just 4 members left.
Just missing there, but the fly-in from Falstad into the Earthquake. And that is how you turn a team fight. Meowpork just says, you're going to get deleted.
That was beautiful. But looks like we're going to see a replay of that team fight right there. Come on, J-How, break it down.
I mean, my favorite part was that Genji X-Strike there at the end there, but there it goes. There's the stun. They don't have the follow-up. Again, there is where it turns. And I said if they don't get the kill initially, this is how it's going to play out. The Earthquake perfectly timed. Divine Storm just was put in there just to buy time, but NSJ trying to get any kill that they could not, but that X-Strike that came in there, that was so well played by Meowpork. They knew exactly what they were getting into. They didn't get the kill onto Genji. That's how it works. That is exactly how that works, and that is how it can turn against you if you do not get that initial kill.
Man, and we were just talking about protection and what is the other safety that Deadlykittens can rely on when these team fights just don't go their way. It's really problematic for them, especially if they don't manage to finish off a kill. But look at that. They have to suffer the consequences. And Xcarrick is going to expire from this DK as soon as they have damaged it enough. But it looks like they're going to be running away. And, you know, they're going to take it, and they're not going to be too greedy.
Interesting pickup here for Tahaga at 13, at least for me. He's going into the extra auto attack damage. So we talked about the fact that he doesn't have isolation. There's this divine. So okay, that's how it's supposed to work. That's how it's supposed to work.
Yeah.
And now they can turn the fight. But the Gus, this is exactly the way it's supposed to go. As we see the cursed bullet, they're not going to be able to re-engage because that Earthquake is still persisting. But that's how it goes. You got that. If things look bad, you just gust them away. Both these teams are playing their compositions exactly the way they're supposed to.
Yes, Ancestral Healing is back online, and it seems that Deadlykittens are in a good position. They've regained their composure, and level 15 soon for them. And meanwhile, Meowpork definitely did not see that coming.
It's just quick deletion there. But I want to talk about a little bit about the Dahaka. Because he went isolation, he does not go adaptation, which means his essence is his second lifeline. And his level 13 is extra damage when you have more essence. Instead of the vulnerability to try and blow up a target, they feel that they have enough damage, and he's going to contribute more to the team fight individually. But if you have to use your essence in the team fight, it means that that level 13 talent is no longer viable. It holds 0 value at that point, and it's just a weird thing to decide on. And it's generally something that I think when I see isolation, that's not normally the 13 talent that I see coupled with it.
Interesting, as Deadlykittens take a different twist to this fight right here as Meowpork. This is really definitely back and forth because 16, both of them, as they have exchanged already 2 DKs. And we'll see how they're going to play this out as Shrines will activate in a few seconds.
Again, the power of the globals, it's basically even. Holy Ground will be here for Tyrael. We'll see if he can lock things in, avoid some of that dive potential, but new bracket team trying to get some structure damage, starting to soften up the map just a little bit.
Exchanging here, exchanging structures here and there. Xcarrick is alone, but he has a barrel. He's going to be A-okay. And they're going to just allow this to happen since they're going to be exchanging anyways, objectives anyways. But Shrines are online. We'll see how they're going to deal with this. The difference is that, you know, there's a camp marching towards the side of Deadlykittens, but not on the side of Meowpork. So
There's a lot to be said about late game top lane fort. And I actually really like that call. Yes, you give up the bottom fort, and yes, the bottom lane is the most valuable because there's 3 camps that could potentially be pushing there. It's generally the lane that you end on, bottom and middle. But top lane, when you talk about getting control, you now have your minions that if you clear, you have vision control. And you can see right there on the minimap, the vision control in that top lane. You know when they're coming, you know when you can be safe. And it's just something about added control of a game. and it's a really small fundamental thing. But now Dahaka's joined the fight. They get the tongue on, but the gust away. That is exactly how it works. Meowpork, gotta be careful there.
Oh, man. That was too close. Meowpork's going to be fine, but that'll be the Falstad flying over to the top side instead.
Guys, I gotta get the hell out of here. See ya.
See ya. And Risotto as well. And they've lost control. Deadlykittens has lost control over the top side temple. But we'll see. I mean, Mighty Gust has already been used here.
So, minimap. If you look at the minimap, you can see every member there. You see a Nubarak clearing. That's how you know, as a team, that you can be safe. That's why I talk about that top lane fort. If that fort's still standing, it goes in. But we see Stronger. He's going to be on point there. But that's just a small thing that I love the fact that Deadlykittens made that decision instead. Now we've got Zessen going, the stun going down. Mur in a compromised position, though, Riku.
Earthquake being laid down onto the ground, but look at that. Anubarak will be the first one to fall with Mur coming in almost there. Second kill, Zessen with a deflect on the side. Swift strike to safety because 4 members are down with only the Cyborg Ninja left.
Minions are getting out. I don't know. Zessen, I know.
Oh, Disintegrate actually catches him.
There's no way.
Yeah, there's the final shot to the face. All right. So well played by Deadlykittens.
All right, they're going to take this middle fort. Should get them experience. Easy takedown. Then they're going to work their way down towards the bottom keep wall. Stronger is just going to try and open up that. I think the bottom keep wall, the quicker win is obviously middle. He's going to go ahead and bypass that. A little bit surprising here. I don't think they can end. And bottom lane, again, because if you get late game camps, you gain control. And that's a one way to play around the global. It's the same way that you took down the top lane. Catapults in the middle lane are nowhere near as imposing. And if you're playing the global game, I am really surprised. Oh my, Falstad.
Oh, he mighty gusted, but he just placed himself in front of Zace and everybody else. NSJ, Disintegrate, in your face. Risotto will just try to back away, but being blocked
Isolation.
by a Stronger.
He's dead.
Uh-oh, 2 members down.
Now this goes from, we're just going to lose a middle keep, which is not a big deal, to I think we're about to lose the game. The DK is starting to take the shields down, the sieging up potential of a Greyman and Li Ming. They're starting to take this down. And just like that, a flight over by Falstad is now turned into a game 1 victory here for Deadlykittens. The Sanctification goes down. They're going to secure game number 1 in a blink of an eye. If I'm Meowpork and I see my middle keeps going down and it's 20-18, I'm like, that's okay. They didn't take bottom keep. They don't have that lane control. I'm okay with middle keep going down because by the time the next shrine phase is there, I'm 22 and you've got 0 control. Catapults on mid do not scare me one bit. But the minute you fly over.
Yeah, that was a very aggressive play. But let's see the replay there on what happened during the last few moments of that match as the Falstad flying in.
It makes no sense. You're looking for a pick on 20-18 on a Li Ming. Like, and then he re-engages. He re-engages. We talked about in the previous series that he would be punished. Xscarik got punished here. And the isolation on a Nubarak had no way to escape, and that's game. That the minute you commit to that, the 0, I don't know what you get out of that. Picking a fight 20-18, Falstad fly, trying to isolate one hero, and then you lose the game. Like,
man. Wow. I mean, we were expecting that after the keep, they're just going to back away, respect everybody else coming back online. But then because of that play, that aggressive play, just...
Sanctification at the end, you're just like, well, just everybody stand here, let's end the game.
Hit the core.
You're fine. It's fine. But, it really blew my mind that... Okay, I asked teams, why do you go middle? They say it's the quickest way to end the game.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, if you think you can end the game, you try and go that way, you open it up. But if you're playing map control, you generally go bottom lane because, again, you pick up a siege camp, you pick up a night camp. You already saw that top lane. You had it pushed out, so you've got vision control, you've got global control, you've got that. You can force catapults. You can force everything bottom. You can force everything bottom, and then you just ping-pong back and forth, and it's a war of attrition at that point. And if you got the global, you've got the catapult control, you win the game. Your win percentage goes up really high. Your win percentage also goes up really high when a Falstad at level 18 flies behind your team and you kill him.
Yeah, I mean, I get the play or the mentality that Meowpork has because it feels like they were really pressured to make something out of that situation.
If I'm Meowpork, I'm not pressured at all there. I'm thinking, thank you for taking the middle keep. I'll wait to get my global. I'll wait to be fine. And you just did nothing. You got experience, you got 20. But by the time that next shrine phase is there, I have 22. I'm not worried about middle lane because, one, I'm either contesting the shrine, the DK shrine, and I'm killing catapults in the meantime. And I'm not worried about catapults ending because I have my own global. It just, from a min-max perspective, if you're going to end, go middle, by all means. You've got it opened up, just go. But they had a fort in the middle. It stalled a little.
Yeah.
They were bottom, clearing bottom. And then it was like a late decision to move middle. I'm just surprised that Meowpork gave them the game. And there's no other way to put it. I'm trying to soften the blow a little bit, but there's no way else to put it. They gave them the game. They gave them the game. And again, Meowpork had moments where they shone really bright, but that's one where it was a little bit dim.
Yeah,
and I'm guessing they'd like to take that back, but that's not how this game works.
Yeah, I mean, we saw the first team fight. That was beautiful. It worked really in their favor. They managed to get a pick onto the key targets. They punished the aggression of Deadlykittens, and we were looking forward to those kinds of team fights. But then that moment right there at the last part,
Deadlykittens looked good.
Yes, they
did.
did.
They had the one team fight, I think, that went against them. They had a couple of misplays, but I think that speaks to how strong both these teams are individually. Is that they had, during the quick break that we had, we talked about the strengths of both compositions. Both teams, I think, had excellent drafts.
Yes.
Both teams had moments where they could just play back and forth. And we saw that Meowpork in the middle of that team fight, the minute that blow-up didn't happen, they were able to turn the team fight. And the same way, conversely, is that the minute we saw Deadlykittens get the blow-up, force out the Mighty Gust, and they controlled it. So, again, it's a battle of strengths there. So I'm really looking forward to this going into game number 2 because game number 1, outside of like that one major mistake, was actually pretty even for a while, at least in my opinion, knowing the potential of what Meowpork could have done, they just didn't do.
True. As we're going to be heading over to our second map later on, it's Battlefield of Eternity. Any priority picks here? I mean, Gray Main is definitely something both contested for these two teams.
Meowpork, in both their games in the previous set, were on Battlefield of Eternity. In Braxis, they first pick in their first rotation Gray Main. Gray Main has high priority on this battleground in particular, so I wouldn't be surprised if one of those teams, whoever has first pick, will be there. I don't know who has first pick just yet. I think actually Meowpork picked that, so Deadlykittens will have first one. So if Meowpork doesn't ban it, I want to see if Deadlykittens will pick it up or whether they'll let it through, because at 100% it will be in that first rotation.
We'll see as we head on later on. I mean, it's just 5 win streak already for Deadlykittens. This is just boosting their morale so much. But Meowpork, I feel like they're the team that's not going to be faced by a defeat. They're the type to learn from mistakes, fight again, get a reset. They're not going to be carrying it over on towards the next game. So we'll see. I mean, it is Meowpork. Their battles, every time they keep up with these matchups, it's really exciting every time.
That's one of the reasons why I like the SEA region. They're no strangers to fighting. They're no strangers to mixing it up. And that's the thing, is like some of the stronger teams, you just say, well, we're not confident that we can take you to these large battlegrounds. We're not confident that we can out-macro you, so we'll take you to fight. And they like to muddy the waters, and sometimes it works. And so, here at Battlefield of Eternity, we know we're going to get team fights. Both these teams actually look strong at times in team fighting. So I fully looking forward to this one. You don't have to worry as much about the global. We've seen certain regions use it. But this is just, it's like two teams. They're squaring up. They're going to stand. Here's the line. Dare you to cross. Dare you to cross. And the minute you cross, both teams just throw down. I think is going to be a good one.
Yep, and that's why I'm super duper excited, because this is our last BO3. I mean, there is still a chance for it to end up with a game number 3, depending on how Meowpork will play at Battlefield of Eternity. But we've seen DK do really well in this map. It's just one of their comfort maps as well.
It is, and the fact that Meowpork picked it up after the results that we've seen earlier, maybe Meowpork feels the exact same way. I mean, obviously we talked about they won on this earlier, and they actually won pretty well. They ran the double support Rhaegar Brightwing, which was a little bit surprising to me. But to couple that with that, they had Greymane Li Ming, which do incredibly well, not only in team fights, but also do well in racing. So, compositionally, I think we might see more of the same. And I wonder, Deadlykittens, obviously having played them before, recently in the current meta, as well as watching them right before this series, how they'll feel and what they pick, what they ban, and then how comfortable they feel going against it.
Do you think they're going to leave the Malthael open this time around for Battlefield of Eternity, or because it was banned earlier?
It's a tricky thing to give up, is that Malthael, depending on team compositions, right? You're not going to see Malthael outside of like an early rotation. Like Malthael's normally like a first rotation on Battlefield of Eternity. Not if you get him late game. If you get him late in the draft, it's much higher value. But it also has to make sure it fits in compositionally and it can do well countering them. It's not something that can be exposed. And right now, we're talking about we're on the live patch, and
Yes.
Malthael right now it's from 2.5 to 2.25. Tortured Souls, we've seen nerfed a little bit. It's now down, instead of 20 armor, it's 10 armor per going in as we go through. So we've seen a lot of changes to Malthael, and so we don't know his current power level in terms of what we expect. So it is something that I think that should warrant an early pick, an early ban, but I'm more of the fan of Greymane at this point.
Yeah.
Higher priority than that.
Yeah, especially if both teams really like playing the Greymane. We've seen it Meowpork against Playstomp. We've seen Deadlykittens. I believe it's is it Zace or Enavir that's playing the Greymane? Oh no, NSJ is the one who's playing the Greymane. Yes.
Yeah. So again, we've seen a few changes with the way that Deadlykittens has been set up, and so far the early results got to be promising.
Yep. And I really don't know what's gonna happen for Meowpork and Deadlykittens. I mean, it's really close up until that last moment, but it is a different battlefield this time. It's the Battlefield of Eternity, and for me, I've always seen Deadlykittens play really well. I'm not sure about Meowpork. I don't remember some of their matches from back then.
It's a different look and a different meta, and that's the biggest thing. Again,
Yes,
the
indeed.
Upperbracket, I mean, if we look at the changes, we saw the Upperbracket nerfs recently, so much so, and against the comp, that Upperbracket felt compelled to go Locust Swarm, and it's been a while since we've seen a Locust Swarm in Upperbracket, and that to me showed that you could feel the Upperbracket player on that team is like, guys, this hero is not as strong.
I need
like
to survive.
I need some extra protection here. I need healing.
Well played.
But obviously, the changes are going to have an impact on what we're seeing today. We saw an early Zool, but it was in a really weird matchup.
Yeah.
Zool doesn't fit well on this battleground at all. But again, some of the changes that we're seeing here recently are going to be something we'll keep an eye on.
Yep.
I think we're ready.
Both teams actually are a fan of the Upperbracket comp, so we might see it being contested here. I mean, these teams are really, but in comparison to Meowpork, they're the ones that throw in the Locust Swarm. But I believe when DK played it, they just went for the standard Cocoon.
Standards has more playmaking potential. Despite the range nerf, the composition you're going up against. Again, I think because it wasn't Divine Shield Uther, maybe he's like, we're going to go. But I think we are ready for our draft finally. I'm getting the thumbs up here as we're going to be heading into Battlefield of Eternity. Deadlykittens up 1-0, taking on Meowpork, trying to close it out here on our final game of day number 1 in the upper bracket, the winners final. Here we go, Riku.
Alrighty then. Take note, this is a best-of-3 series. This could be Meowpork's chance to regain their place into the game, but looks like that's going to be a Malthael. Quick banning as well. They know what to do.
It's a quick ban, but again, unless they decide they're going to pick up Greymane themselves, they either need to find a Greymane counter or they need to pick up Greymane for themselves, and that's... I wonder if Meowpork thinks that Deadlykittens... They're going to ban Ario.
So that means Greymane is open for the taking. If immediately, it's fast.
Give me Greymane
Yep.
all day.
Greymane all day. So meanwhile, what's next? Are they going to be picking the Upperbracket Uther, or I wonder?
I am guaranteeing they are shook right now on the Upperbracket. I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up being an early Stitches pick.
All right, because they're not going to be letting the Stitches get away this time. Because in the previous game, it was Meowpork that actually banned it at the first rotation, because Deadlykittens banned the Oriel for themselves. So we'll see. Stitches.
Yeah, they're shook on that Upperbracket, but this has to be an Uther.
Oh, it's a Vala instead.
Okay. The reason I say Uther is because it creates follow-up stun potential on the Stitches and gives you a prime target. Vala should not be that high priority when you're looking at trying to get a lockdown. Now you've given up Uther over to Deadlykittens. It's no longer available for you, and you're going to be relying, or you're going to be dealing with a Greymane potentially going into Worgen form and going in, or a Genji going in Dragonblade form, and there's going to be a Divine Shield available. But the one thing that we know about Meowpork is the double support, and this is something that we've seen. And now I got a feeling that Rhaegar is going to be priority. And if I'm Deadlykittens, I'm taking Rhaegar away from him. Because Rhaegar does well in the race, and it's something Meowpork's going to be wanting to run.
Yeah, they're definitely congesting all of their support. They could congest the support pool right here as Meowpork will decide on their last ban. Man, a couple of seconds left. This is very crucial. This is definitely in favor of Deadlykittens in terms of momentum. Uther, Genji, Greymane, they're getting everything that they want. Tyrael.
Again, the whole thing is I would love if Meowpork. Yeah, see, they're going to ban the Rhaegar.
Oh,
and
it's
the thing, is that I talk about the Rhaegar in the sense that they're going to ban Rhaegar when I think that any normal team is banning Tassadar against this team, right? And it's just something Meowpork hasn't shown that they've wanted to run. Teams in this region are not as high on the Vala-Tassadar combo. So you take away the Rhaegar. That is something that is strictly related to this team, and I think a little bit to this region. So Deadlykittens, knowing their opposition, I like it.
Yes, I mean Meowpork right now. I'm not sure about their option. It's like they looking at their draft right now with the stuff that you're saying. It's like we're not gonna be trying to counter you. We're just gonna be forming our own thing and fight to our strengths instead. And it's okay if you get all the things that you want, because we're probably gonna get the things that we want, probably. But Rhaegar being banned, what are the other options for support? I mean, they did. Somebody did play the Malfurion back then, but you mentioned double support. So, interesting. Lucio and Tassadar. Lucio, welcome back.
I don't know if I want him back right here.
Oh,
that is
man.
not what I expected here.
Huh.
At worst, a Malfurion Tassadar, so that you at least have a Stitches hook into Roots.
Yes.
At least have a Stitches hook into Roots. But again, maybe you're trying not to proc that Guardian of the Ancient Kings, because right now, hard CC is not there. Technically, Stitches hook counts as a mini stun.
I'm just afraid. There's a lot of damage going on, and CCs as well into Deadlykittens, and the heals will
Another
definitely
melee
not be enough for Vala. So either they get another backline damage dealer perhaps, or another healer, just as you said, that they really want to secure. It's quite common in their drafting.
Unpopular opinion, but Leoric all day here. Leoric as your solo laner, Leoric as your life drain on Stitches, Leoric as your entomb onto heroes that cannot get out. But the Abathur pickup, Deadlykittens picking up a few tricks from that midseason brawl.
Alrighty, could be a double Genji or double Greymane. So again, what's gonna be the response here from Meowpork? Because I mean, it looks really nice. They got the Tassadar, but Deadlykittens is just getting a lot out of this. They're not getting.
I would like to see a Li Ming. I'm just not sure if I'm going to get it from Meowpork. As much as we didn't see the Cocoon used last game, I can tell you that the minute Leoric goes in, who punishes him? Who locks down an Upperbracket? Nobody, right? So you have no hard CC here. So you're going to be dealing with a Cocoon. And the minute a Cocoon goes out on Lucio, there's nobody saving Vala. There's nobody saving, Stitches from a cursed bullet. But a double Genji, a double Greymane, however you want to call it, it's scary.
It is. They're really banking on this Vala here, coming from Meowpork. But they only have a few seconds left, and we'll see what's going to be their last slot. I'm pretty excited about this, and they're going to end up with a Thrall. So, Earthquake, movement speed, Lucio, sound barrier. I don't know, man. Jay, how you got this? It's really tough. I mean,
they needed somebody on obviously they needed a melee player. They feel confident that Thrall can contribute to the solo lane.
Yeah.
He can contribute to the clear. But the way that we're going to see this play out generally Stitches is not a hero that is without some type of follow-up. Thrall does fit that role in the sense that he can throw out the wolf, get the root, but Thrall's going to be somewhere in a solo lane somewhere else.
Yeah.
And it's going to be up to Thrall and Stitches to coordinate and try and get that burst damage.
So
I don't know where they're getting it.
So I'm guessing that they're going to be revolving their fights when the Immortal comes in, and then hope for the best that they get the hook in, they combo it with a Thrall, then burst a target down. But not exactly when it's off Immortal spawn.
But think about this. You're hooking a Greymane, you're hooking a Genji, you're hooking an Uber and an Upperbracket. Genji and an Upperbracket, just press E, get out.
True.
Uther's like, here's some armor for anybody that goes in there. And there's nobody going to be locking them down.
Exactly. They need a secondary CC for that to actually be effective. But you know what? This is game number 2 between Deadlykittens and Meowpork. Let's see how this is going to turn out. I'm really, really excited. It's all about execution, so we'll see.
Execution going to be the name of the game because Deadlykittens has a lot more room for error with this, but it's going to rely on team fights. I think when we look at this is that once the clone targets are going to be there, for Abathur, once that's cleared, obviously things are going to look a lot different if you can get that out of there because then it turns onto a 5-on-4. But we do see Abathur going into that hat build, which post 13 and 16 is going to be absolutely terrifying.
We'll see as Meowpork rotates for hopefully an early pick. Stronger rotating for more vision on the middle side of the map. But as you can see there, we've got 4 members here at the bot rather.
So
there's no mid.
as much as I talked earlier about, there's the hook with 0 follow-up, as I said. As much as I talked about Vala going auto attack build in our previous series, this is an actual game where you do go Q build because you have the auto attack damage from Tassadar. You can do that. You need single target burst damage. You need race damage, and the single target burst damage is good to follow up. Stitches hooks. It doesn't do really well against Genji because Genji just deflects it and builds up that deflect damage. And if it makes it 20, obviously that's one way to get that talent instantly done. But going into more of the scare machine with the auto attacks, we'll see how that plays out as this game goes on.
Yes, sir. I can imagine. There goes Impale, but no follow-up just yet. As Stronger will go back to behind the structures there. And Murph going to be in the safe spot. He's just going to be A-okay. I can imagine, though. Meowpork has a lot of chase potential, but only if the team fight is in their favor. They can easily finish off targets. That's fine. But then if they're not going to be at the upper hand of things, then that's where they're going to be using a couple of heroics for disengage and not exactly for the aggression. I
love that approach there. Meowpork knowing that the only range damage that can defend is Genji there. And Genji, it does nothing. He tickles you early game. And that's pretty much it, as Greymane was forced to defend top lane. So recognize your advantage, but Stronger going in. They get the stun down onto Risotto, who's doing everything he can to walk away as Lucio's now helped to join to try and keep his teammates alive.
Nicely done boop coming from Meowpork as Risotto will be safe and sound, but that means they have 1 member away, but Thrall will fall actually from that. Not sure what happened there, but that's going to give Deadlykittens more ground for movement.
More ground indeed, as just a slight advantage. I mean, almost dead even. We're talking about 68 damage there, and then we're going to see the race open up here. No level 4 for Deadlykittens, so no auto attack speed bonus for Greymane going in.
Yeah, looks like this is going to be a race.
But they're still handedly winning this.
Wow. And Deadlykittens going to be the winner for that.
No Q build Vala. I mean, not that would have won it, but the fact that Tassadar's not built up yet, Lucio doesn't provide a lot. Stitch is only going to do so much. It looked like there was a minor distraction there, but first, Immortal here.
Oh, look at that. They all go in. Meowpork is going to be the first one to fall from that. Easy pickup just with a burrow and impale. My God.
All right, so this is not something that you see too often, but Dragon Claw has seen some recent changes. So Genji going Dragon Claw, going for a little bit of extra burst damage when he goes in. So blocking that damage, no big deal. Stronger is going to pay, but Vala is going to pay as well.
Yeah, exchange of kills as the Immortal is still pretty healthy, charging into the fort rather, but Risotto is going to be leading the front lines. He's going to be landing a little bit of Hook here and there, but there comes Meowpork again with a stun. Zace is in a comfy position, but looks like there's going to be the burst of heal from the Lucio with his W. It's going to be amplified, and he's going to be fine. But close call there. Almost died.
Both teams aggressive positioning, but the fort did fall here, and we've got 3 kills to 1. So Deadlykittens softening the map up just a little bit. Now, obviously, Abathur got the mines trying to get the vision, making sure no flanks there so they can play pretty safe. But to have this type of lead early on with an Abathur comp, you got to be feeling pretty good about the start.
Exactly. I mean, Deadlykittens with their fast rotations, they were a bit aggressive earlier. Stronger had to suffer from that. And Zessen will be spotted. Still with the borrow. There's a stun. Zessen and Genji charges in with a swift strike and gets the reset to safety. He's going to be fine as 2 members, Vala and Stitches, rotate at the top side of the map, trying to defend. And there comes the hook. Will not connect.
And we're going to see the lockdown as Risotto, again, on that front line. They've got to get out of there. The last minion was killed, which means that the tower will now prioritize heroes. So recognizing their window of opportunity had closed, they back on out. And this camp, it was cleared early. If Abathur had thrown a mine down there some time ago to sniff out whether they were on that camp or not, it'd be one of those things, you're like, guys, let's go over there and steal this.
Oh, man. All right. No one spotted it, so it's going to be fine. It's still going to be on Meowpork's side. And just in time, they're going to be capping that as a few seconds left till the next phase of the Immortal spawn. We'll see. I mean, it was Deadlykittens that got the first Immortal. They got a pick off on to the Stitches earlier, so... I mean, they chipped him down really low until he was forced to back away, but look at that. Thrall just exploded from that.
Exploded indeed. The hook onto Stronger, not that big of a deal. And Abathur instantly hats the Upperbrackets. So the Upperbrackets trying to do a little bit of damage. We do see the stab at level 7, which means some extra damage. But Murr, the battle of the supports as we see Vala dead on the backside. Meowpork trying to stay alive, but the battle of the supports. Uther's like, nope.
Oh my god, that was intense. I mean, support versus support. You don't see that every day. But anyway... 2 people has fallen from Meowpork. Again, it is definitely on the side of Deadlykittens this time. They have a lot of control on the map, but looks like they've got a little bit of consolation as the siege camp here from the top side was able to do a little bit of damage, making Stronger solo the Immortal.
Well, one thing that's about to happen is level 10's about to be picked up, and you are way behind on the Immortal race. So this is about to get real scary. We talked about the dive comp of Greymane. We see the Divine Shield from Upperbrackets, and I like this call. Go for the throat over the Cursed Bullet. Don't worry about Stitches. Don't worry about throwing the Cursed Bullet on Stitches. Walk right past him and blow somebody up, because that cocoon will be used on Lucio. You're going to have a hard time. Just look for them. The minute the minions get cleared, they now have dive potential. Meowpork recognizes this, is that the minute the minions are in range, you can no longer stand there and defend because they can dive without the fear of taking those fort shots. So now their only hope at this point is to save the keep, and that's actually going to be incredibly difficult to do.
Looks like they're going to be a little bit patient as Zace and Zessen goes 1v1. Okay, never mind. Abathur's there for the assist, and that'll be an easy pickup on towards the Thrall. That is like his, I think, 3rd time.
It's not looking good. But either way, things are now going from, are we just going to lose a keep? Or now are we going to potentially lose the game? There's the sidewall. The sidewall's down. This is exactly the play they're going to make. Look at the positioning for Stronger. He's not leaving that area. Now the wall's down. They're going to open up the hook. The cocoon is already out there, but they're going to turn. And just like that. I don't know about the Tassadar cocoon. And the fact that they're not even trying to take this keep. This is safe play, Riku. This is extremely safe play.
Yeah, Deadlykittens, I mean, from earlier we saw how aggressive they were, but now it seems that they really want to play it safe, gonna go by the book. It's okay if they find it a little bit, you know, it's not 100% sure that we're gonna win the clash or the team fight, then, you know, it's safe to back away. Let's just settle for the camps. It's fine, and probably wait for the next Immortal, because, you know, we're already doing great. We're already 2 levels ahead, and Meowpork gets through another day.
the Immortal's shield had just fallen, which means he still had 100% health. You have Genji. You have Greymane. You can just sit there and pepper away. The hook fear might have been a little bit too much, but Zay's, there's no CC.
Yeah, there is no CC. I mean, Meowpork, because of their comp, they can't easily punish Zace whenever he goes in like that or when he does sneaky plays like that. So it could have been, you know, something that they could play around with. But here comes
Gorge.
the hook. Oh, onto Mur as well. There's the stun. There's the root. Earthquake being laid down. Mur is super low. He might be the first one to fall. And yes, he will. While there's the cocoon as Risotto is just going to lead the front lines. Carrick very low as well. Deflect onto Enavir. But looks like he's still going to survive as Zace is very low as well. Comes the shield coming from the Avatar. Stronger goes in with a burrow.
Stronger, my man! Where in the world are you going there? I'm not 100% sure what in the world happened there, but we got to take a look at this again. We've got a replay here. I want to see what in the world just happened because we're about to have our next Immortals spawning. We're going to take a quick look in.
Oh, wow. Let's see what happened there, JL.
The earthquake value was just tremendous. The hook goes in, and Mur's just like, I can stand here because I can. But we saw the root from Thrall. Good follow-up. The Divine Shield onto Genji, but you saw the sound barrier used by Greymane. NSJ goes in. The minute he comes in, they gorge him. They walk away. The clone obviously goes down, and that was what I wanted to see. And as we're going to go back, but the minute the gorge came out, it's the same way that you hook. You follow up. They called it out, and that dive there was a little wonky. But Thrall had his wolf ready, throws it out, roots them the minute he comes out of that gorge. So good execution there by Meowpork.
Yeah, that was the perfect setup. It stunned Mur, and they were able to kill off the healer from the side of Deadlykittens. And from then on out, it was just very problematic for the side of DK. So meanwhile, Immortal race.
Meowpork turning this around.
Yes, sirree.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. That is actually the other way around. But still, the fact that this is all the shield, there's the gorge. They got no stun, no follow-up, the root. So there was actually a really small and subtle play there.
Oh, there you go. I thought he was going to start Divine Shield. Dragon's Blade being activated just for the Swift Strike. Escape, and very well played. I actually thought Zeus was about to die.
So I don't know if that was intentional, but Thrall threw out the root, and it actually hit Upperbrackets, and that's what I believe would have been intentional, because the minute the gorge comes out, Upperbrackets normally dives in, gets the stun, and you don't get behind the wall. But he hit the root onto Upperbrackets, and so Upperbrackets was stuck there. They were able to get the gorge target back behind the wall. Unfortunately, they weren't able to commit the kill. But if the intention was to root Upperbrackets, that was actually a really heads-up play by Zessen.
Yes, well played there by Meowpork. Unfortunately, they weren't able to secure the kill onto the Genji. Quite a slippery target. Can easily swift strike off to buildings, pass through buildings rather, as Stronger will be very sneaky about this, providing vision for Meowpork. No one's checking that area.
He's revealed with the Oracle there.
Yeah.
Lit up red. They're like, is he still there? Nope.
Nope. All right, so level lead Deadlykittens on this time around, but with the camps being taken, pressure at the top side of the map, it's going to be okay as the Immortals still not about to spawn, but Meowpork with the rotations at the top side just to defend, but that gives more room for Deadlykittens to roam around and secure more, as Stronger provides vision for Deadlykittens.
Stronger on that backside. He can see them.
Oh,
but
he revealed himself.
I don't think that's where he wants to be, though. He's going to go ahead and burrow out. I think that's a good call. It's not a fight you want to take. You're so close to 16. There's no need to take that fight. As we see the Rain of Vengeance go in, he has no more escape. He's going to be stunned and locked down. Again, that was a bad spot to be in. Yes, you're trying to maintain vision, but the minute you showed yourself and you burrowed out before the hook went out, you basically said that I have no more escape. Meowpork recognized that. And just all-around great play. The Vala lockdown into the hook. I'm impressed. Meowpork looks like a team that has woken up.
Exactly. Coming from the first game, again, they're not phased. Meowpork, with a really good rotation, spots out Stronger, punishes him, and he wasn't able to escape from that as perfect timing, Immortal's actually in with 3 seconds on the clock before Stronger revives. But this is a good head start. More zone control for Meowpork, and they're able to easily, gain more advantage as Deadlykittens will wait patiently. Look at them. It's just mind games for now.
You got to be fearful of the hook. Every time the hook. Upperbrackets is now back in the fight. They're going to posture up a little bit more aggressive. They have 16 tier advantage. They're going in, the stun, the lockdown, and Stitches is going to go down and just get blown up instantly. The Dragon Blade getting the resets as Genji is going in. Double Genji just diving. And that is just 4 people blown up, and they're going to try and end the game here. They're going to get on the keep. There are no minions here. They've got to eat the tower shots. You can see they're going in. Inavir on the clone, just diving right past, and now they're going to siege up on the core here, Riku.
20 seconds on the death timers for Meowpork. They cannot do this as Cocoon has landed onto Tazadar. He will not be able to defend or try to distract them whatsoever, and there is the GG after a back and forth fight. Meowpork, Deadlykittens, after that crucial pickup onto the Stitches there, it's GG.
Just like that. They had 16 versus 15. They're like, look, we're going in. They get the Stitches blow up, the Genji clone. They go in. We saw the resets happen, and it's just like, it's like a laser show going in there via Genji. But that was phenomenal turn of events that we saw. It looked like Meowpork, I just said they were coming back. They postured up in a weird position. They weren't soaking the lanes. They weren't trying to close that 16 gap. They recognized they're probably going to have to take a team fight since both keeps are low. We are going to take another look at that team fight, but Deadlykittens just blew that wide open.
That was just amazing. They're so confident in their plays. They know that they could take them out so easily once they manage to catch onto whoever is their target.
Stitches goes down. You can see Inavir on that backside, but Genji going in, and look at that. Inavir shoots across, and then Zay shoots across. I mean, it's like Genji, and more Genji. It's like
Genji 1, Genji number 2.
Get this Genji off of me.
And he was even tanking the turret hits as was just well played by both teams. It's just that Deadlykittens really got everything that they wanted in the draft.
They did, and we talked about earlier about where we're going to see that top tier Genji play, and right there I think we saw it not just from one player but 2 there towards the end. And I was taking a look, most damage, 5 kills, 0 deaths, then leading the charge there. Just Deadlykittens showing their strengths, flexing their muscles here in a little bit. I think game 1. It was weird because it was 20-18, and Meowpork's like, oh, maybe we should take a fight here and try and get a pick, and it didn't happen. And then the game just suddenly ended. And then here we are again where they're like, oh, maybe we should fight 16 versus 15. And the game just suddenly ended. And it's weird. It feels like deja vu in 2 games.
Exactly. I really thought the game would have been longer at that point. But you know what? This means that Deadlykittens is in a 6-win streak technically for now, and they will carry over that momentum tomorrow as we head on to our day 2 tournament for HGC Eastern Clash qualifiers for C.
They get to sit around. They get to watch the action, see who their competition will be. Again, they are in the grand finals going in, so they'll have a chance. If Meowpork can win out, they'll come back in. They'll have the advantage. The way our bracket's set up is that we do have the rubber match potential, so if the losers fight their way in, they come back and they were able to take out, say, the winners final, then we'd run it back again, and that's happened twice so far this year. So anything is on the table, but Meowpork, Resurgence, even a Play Stomp, I think they all have a chance to come back tomorrow. Those are my 3 favorites, 3 teams I definitely want to see again tomorrow to see who's going to duke it out. Again, with Meowpork making it here to the winners bracket finals, they're obviously here for a reason, so see if they can regroup for tomorrow.
All right, same here, Jayhao. And that wraps up our day 1 of our HGC Eastern Clash See ya qualifiers. No, but we're going to see you tomorrow as we continue with the battle for the best on who will represent Southeast Asia for the Eastern Clash. So again, this is Riku and this is Jayhao. So we'll see you again tomorrow.